everyone, John Henry here, slingshotfutures.com, and welcome to the Market Mindset, where we take a look at the psychology behind the moves today so you can better understand tomorrow. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Nasdaq futures. Beautiful movement on the Nasdaq futures after waiting for about an hour for things to pick up. A little bit slow to start off, but it did eventually start getting some movement here. The overall movement that we're looking at is bearish, right? We start the day off with mostly a range, but we do notice the fact that we gapped up and gave it all back. They stayed fairly low in the range. They came up, tried to trap that area, right? This sort of area of interest up here above the high of that, and they didn't get anywhere. They had a nice initial blow off. They pulled back, use it as support, use it as support, support. But if they're using that as support and they're looking for the high a day, where are the buyers, right? Why aren't they stepping up to the plate? Where did they go? Why aren't they playing ball? And when they get this big bull movement, possible morning reversal at the open, no follow through at all. Completely disintegrates on top of itself. The buyer's strike coming in again. It can't even trigger in buyers before reversing right back down and closing on its near low. Not to mention the fact that they have a little micro double bottom down here. Basically, the buyers are giving up. We see the buyers trying to come in. They can't even get a close above the area of resistance, the earlier double top area of interest in the first place. They fall a little bit short here. The follow through on this massive bull candle is nowhere to be found. And now it collapses back down to the lows with a huge bear bar closing, only a couple points off the bottom. That's a big deal, especially in this context, and likely going to find a lot of sellers to drive the market down aggressively to continue this overall bearish trend we've got going on today. Works out beautifully, grinds lower and just pummels to the downside, makes a brand new low and continues this descent, right? We find a lot of profit taking here denoted by this bull candle. Not a surprise given the fact that all of the sellers who've been building into positions up here, their initial targets on partial positions were probably at the lows. So it slid through a little bit. We get a little bouncing on profit taking, and this is basically just a huge drive lower and a small little pullback. If you were to zoom into a faster time frame, this would look very similar to a little flag, and that's what we have right here. Big drive lower. On a 1 minute chart, we have a small little bear flag. We get a nice close outside of it looking for continuation down, and now you see the reasoning on a faster time frame of why there is such a nice looking short inside of here to continue that drive down. Get a secondary leg on this dip lower. A lot of times when you have this much strength in a move, they're likely going to follow it up with another move of an attempted, at least, equal amount of bearish pressure. If we mark that up right there, we can see that they came pretty close to getting a full test of that measured move, right? They missed it by just a point or so before catching a little bit of a bounce up. And that's the anticipation. The reason we see a bounce here is because this is what everyone is expecting. Nobody's going to, or at least the smart traders usually aren't going to put their targets directly on that level. They're going to get out ahead of it. And that's exactly what they did. It just so happened that there were so many of them that it caused a little bit of a bigger bounce there, and a lot of sellers began exiting along the way. It definitely does not mean that the sell move is done. There could easily be a potential sell right off of this if it gets another nice bear candle for continuation to the downside. But overall, we have a bear breakout type mode as soon as the 9:30 open hit. The sellers are selling everything they can get their hands on, and that's leading to more continuation to the downside. Wait for the corrections and sell them like crazy, looking for the lows once again. So that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you found it interesting, maybe a little bit entertaining and useful, and we will see you all next time.